Hello, Christine. Oh, are you ready? Ta-ta-chan. Wow. 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 Wow.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Christine, and I've got my little buddy Owen just at my feet helping us today. Today's video is something a little bit different. In my last video, I shared that I had brought back a few things from my storage unit in New York City. Several people said they'd be interested in taking a peek at what I brought back, so that's what we're going to be covering today. So last month, my boyfriend and I took a trip to the US. We spent about a week and a half in Seattle, which is my hometown, and then we spent another week in New York City, where I lived for 7 years, and is actually where Sewing in the City all started. So when I first moved to Spain, I came on a sabbatical, and I didn't really know how long I was going to stay, if I was going to stay, so everything from my New York City apartment went right into a storage unit, and there it is sat the whole time. So it was kind of like going into a time capsule. So I was working in the luxury fashion industry, which I had done my entire career since my early 20s. And so part of my salary for my roles was paid in clothing. So I made my normal salary, and then every season I had a certain allotment of money that I would spend on clothes to wear, either to events representing the brand or, of course, in stores, at work. So how it would work is at the start of every season, I would get a preloaded American Express card with my allotment, and then I would take that card and I could buy anything from the stores that I wanted, and then I would just create an expense report and expense those items against the card, obviously so that there was tracking of everything that I had purchased and that it was approved to be purchased. So a lot of the pieces that I brought back are a little bit fancier pieces for events or special occasions. Many of them I purchased at sample sales that we would have. The other thing that I want to mention is I worked for Emilio Pucci, which is one of the oldest, most traditional Italian fashion brands, still partially family owned, but it is under the LVMH umbrella, the Louis Vuitton mega corporation. So Emilio Pucci was part of a division of LVMH called the fashion division. So we shared resources and sometimes offices with other brands like Givenchy, Loewe, Celine, and then next door to us was the whole headquarters of Dior, which was also under the umbrella. So the good part of this is that we got invited to all of the sample sales for our sister brands, all of the private sample sales. So you'll see a few pieces here and there from different brands that I picked up along the way as well. So I'm going to start with dresses and then move on to jackets, and then I'll show you bags and shoes. One of the things that I think is so interesting about a lot of these pieces is the sewing, the actual construction of the pieces. So I'm going to be pointing out any interesting details that I think you might find interesting as well. Okay, to start us off is this purple beauty that I absolutely love. This definitely has to be one of my favorites. So this is a little cocktail dress. It's a stretch wool, so it's 90, I think it's 98% wool with just a little bit of stretch. So it's this really beautiful wool. This is a fabrication that Emilio Pucci used a lot. And I think because it is wool, it's quality, but it also has just that little bit of stretch, which makes it more comfortable and helps with fit. So this dress, I'll take it off the hanger. So it has an invisible zipper here at the shoulder seam neck. And then it also has invisible zippers at the lower edge of each of the sleeves, because the sleeves are quite slim at the bottom. And it's also, I think, just a really lovely detail. I never really have thought of using invisible zippers at the edge of our sleeves, but how cool of a detail is that? So this one, I wore this one time. I wore it to the ballet at Lincoln Center. The tricky part with this one is it is completely sheer in these insets. So in the front, the way it's designed is I don't want to hit my microphone, but the beading is perfectly placed so it just skims your cleavage and your chest isn't exposed, just a little bit of the cleavage, and then the back has this beautiful, transparent as well, low back. So it's really difficult to wear a bra with this one. It really is either a nude bra. I know when I wore it, I just went braless, and that was totally fine for a special event. I love, love, love this low back. You might recognize this with some of my pieces that have special back details. My newest pattern, the Cooper set, has that low dramatic back as well. And it's a very simple cut. It just has the 2 darts at the bust on the front and then some darts right at the waistline in the back. It's hemmed with an invisible machine hem. It looks like it's done by hand, but I'm pretty sure it was done by a machine. But I love the blind hem, so it's really nice to see this in some fancy ready-to-wear. Dress number 1, what do you think? Okay, dress number 2 is quite similar. I think this may have been from either the same year or very similar time frame. This was from the time frame when just after Peter Dundas was designing for Emilio Pucci. So many of the pieces are rather sexy. He has a very sexy aesthetic. You'll see I do have one dress from Peter Dundas's collection that I'll show you that is quite sexy and elegant. So this is another one that is fully beaded. The base is a lace with the kind of silver beads right on top. So it is just a bit transparent on the body, although just on the sleeves, on the bust, and the skirt is actually lined with a cream silk. So I guess the highlight of this, we have the black belt. I love how they did this bow. So it's just, I wonder if you can see it. It's kind of a square bow with just the center. So it's really subtle. I want to do that in one of my upcoming dresses. I think it's such a beautiful bow. And then, of course, the stunning open back. And it buttons at the neck with just a couple little covered buttons. So some of the things that I'm really excited to see are things like covered buttons. That's something that I forget to do, but they are so elegant. The other thing I noticed, which is really funny, not to pick apart anyone's sewing, but to kind of in the spirit of giving us a break, even this dress, which I'm sure retailed probably, I want to say this one probably retailed for $2,800, is kind of what I'm guessing back in the day. Look at the band, isn't even perfect. So don't feel so bad if your seams don't line up. Even this fancy schmancy dress doesn't line up quite perfectly. It's something that I do notice. So all of the interior seams on this lace are done with a serger. And look, they're serged right to the end. So this lace, they just, matched it up and serged it. I'm sure the beading was done after, I think, yeah, it appears that the beading was done after. You can kind of see with the seams. And then the lining is just hemmed normally with a fold over kind of wider hem, all serged inside. So really interesting construction on this one. I wore this once, I think also to the ballet. I used to go to the ballet a lot. It's one of my favorite things that I used to do in New York. And this was one that I wore. Both of these, the purple and this beaded one, I remember I wore with black hosiery and black pumps. So that was kind of how I styled it, with some black bag. I'm not really sure which one. Okay, next up this is so classic Emilio Pucci. How this one goes together is it's 100% silk. It's lined with a silk georgette. So it has a really thin, almost like an interlining, but it is a lining. And the silk fabric itself is quite heavy. So we've got a large place print on the front and then a large place print on the back. I think the back is so elegant with that shaping. Emilio Pucci is one of the Italian fashion houses most known for their prints. So Emilio Pucci himself was named the king of prints when he was designing back in like the 60s. That was kind of his nickname. So the cool thing about this dress is this is the side seam. It has all these beads. So your side seam is all beads. So cool. And then on the hem. So this is quite mini. I remember I wore this at least twice, I want to say. And one of them, I remember I went to an exhibit, fashion exhibit opening somewhere in New York. I can't remember. And I just wore it with summer. So I just wore this with some black strappy heels. But this one is so, so, so fun. Okay, now this fun blue dress that I never wore. I never wore it. I remember trying to wear it several times and it just wasn't quite the right look. But it's this beautiful, I think it's silk. Let's see. Oh, it's cotton. That is so funny. This is cotton. Okay, it doesn't feel like cotton to me, but I think it's because it's like a stamped cotton, almost quilted. But it's fairly lightweight. So one of the things that I love about this dress is the zipper. So you may recall that I did a very similar zipper technique on a dress that I wore to a wedding last fall. I did a very similar exposed metal zipper. It's something that I do like to do. And it's probably no surprise I was probably seeing it a lot when I was working in fashion. I think it was something that Emilio Pucci did do a lot. The designers did a lot. The other thing I love about this dress is the little peplums. So you have, very fitted silhouette with just these little peplums on the upper waist, which I thought was so elegant. So this one is fully lined. Everything is serged inside, and I just want to show you how little this serger stitch is. I don't know if you can see it, or how narrow. It's the most narrow serger stitch that I think I've ever seen. So it's really interesting. I'm not sure why they did such a narrow serger. It's quite beautiful though. So interesting there. And one more dress from a very similar collection to the other is this one. So this one definitely is more of a bohemian style with this really interesting machine embroidery all throughout the entire dress with cutouts. So it's fully lined. It is lined. This is actually a cotton and silk organza, and it's almost interlined, but it's also lined because it is sheer. But I think this lining, probably why they chose this more structured of a lining, is to give it a bit more body and body, because this definitely with the embroidery, I think it needed that that strength. So another beautiful open back style that we have, which as much as I love it, it's kind of makes it really difficult to wear a bra. So that's like a little bit annoying with these open back styles for me, because I always feel like I need to have a bra. But if it's finished with an invisible zipper at the center back, all of the beadwork or the embroidery, look at the perfect mirroring of everything, and the beautiful hem down the sleeves. Again, it's finished with just a covered button. And yeah, this one, I can't remember. I think I wore this to like a luncheon in the store one time, something like that. Okay, the last dress is the one from a Peter Dundas collection. I got this one as a sample. So this was from from the PR closet. So we would have in our office, we had a full, it was like a small, I would say the size of a small bedroom, but it was our sample closet, and it was stuffed to the brim with samples, and they were all samples for PR. So we would send them out to magazines. We would send them to pretty much magazines, shows, anyone who wanted to use our product for PR purposes. And we had actually my assistant was the one who She kept inventory of the sample closet and all of that. So it's all very, very organized, and we keep track of every single piece, who has it, when they took it, who picked it up, who signed for it. Like, it's all very, very detailed, because obviously these pieces, you know, are they're assets. So, you know, we definitely kept really good track, which they don't really show in some of the movies, like Emily in Paris or Devil Wears Prada. It's kind of like this dreamy closet that people just grab from. It's not like that. Everything is really, really highly controlled. But anyways, every once in a while we would have a sale, because we would need to get rid of last season stuff or things that were just, you know, not, we didn't want to promote anymore. And so we would have big sales. So, and every brand had these sales. So this one was one that I picked up, and I love it because it has, you know, I love lace. It has these rows of lace. So you have, first we have the bodice, which is beaded, and then we have the first layer, which is, or no, it's the full layer. Okay, the full layer, but it has these kind of like steps of lace just sewn to the top of the full skirt. And then the bottom layer is just serged. So this is just a tiny narrow hem that serges the bottom. The cool thing about this dress, though, is, so the front is high, and then the bottom has this really, really long, beautiful train with more of this lace going down the back. And this is one of Emilio Pucci's prints. I think this is the Vivara. All of the prints have their own names. So now I'm rusty on the names of the prints, but I think this is a version of the Vivara with the lace and the beautiful train. So this one I never ever got to wear. It just, the train. So it really needed a certain event. And I never had an event for it. But I knew it was going to be something that maybe one day I would have an event for. And now I'm going to show you, we're going to switch quickly over to shoes. I'm going to show you the shoes that I have that are perfect match for this. Okay, so we'll do our shoes really quick. So these stunners I brought back. These are from very similar collection. We did a lot of blues at Emilio Pucci, so these are these really fun. They're actually like a scuba type of fabric. So believe it or not, even with this heel, they are very, very comfortable. I used to wear these quite a bit. I have them also in like a red color or pink coral color as well that I didn't bring back. But they have this zipper up the back, and they go perfectly with the dress I just showed you and so many of the blue dresses. So these are actually, yeah, I did. I had them redone because I think I was wearing them so much. I had the Vibra sole put on, which is that they just kind of rebuild your shoes, and they put this really great sole on, and I had the tips redone. So I definitely wore these a lot at work because they were so comfortable. And then the other shoe that I wanted to show you that I brought back are these cuties. So one of my best friends was working for Fendi, which was just 2 buildings over, not part of LVMH, but all in the same office area on Madison Avenue. And so he picked these up for me from a Fendi sample sale. They're super cute little platforms. And then the last pair of shoes I want to show you are my Celines. I love my Celines. These probably need to go to the shoe, or I need to spend a little bit of time kind of buffing them a bit. But these are my baby pink Celines that I wore many times, but I took really good care of them. So they're in really good condition. They have such an interesting shape in the front of the shoe. They're definitely, a normal classic pump, but with this really beautiful shape. I also have these in a red color, but I decided just to bring back the neutral. But the red is definitely cool as well. Okay, so now let's move on to jackets. So, well, I guess this one is technically kind of a dress. I wore it as a dress, but it's also could be a jacket. And this is not from anything from work, but this is something that I purchased from Marc Jacobs, and it's just this really fun silk coat. And some of the details that I wanted to show you are like on the collar. They did this really fun hand stitching along each of the collars, which I thought was so pretty. And they did it also on the hem of the sleeves. So it's like almost like a deliberate stitching, which is so interesting. You know, we work so hard to get our hems to not show. I guess it's a bit of a rebellion to deliberately make your hemline, you know, the hem seam actually show. And then some things that are also kind of interesting on this one, instead of doing buttonholes with these large buttons, they instead, there's a small snap and another snap, they did snaps. So that's a really cool way that I'm taking note of to achieve this really clean button look, but without the messiness that can sometimes happen when you have large buttonholes for this large of a button. So really clever idea there with the hidden snaps. These are just a covered button. Again, we're seeing a lot of covered buttons, interesting. And then some of the interior details of this one are also really beautiful. They did everything with the bound seams in black. Isn't that so elegant? Because there's not a lot of black in the fabric. And so I just think it creates this really beautiful, beautiful inside, just absolutely exquisite. So all of the seams are bound, and then the sleeve is lined. This is definitely a silk. It's lined with a silk in the sleeve and at the yoke. So this is one that I really, really like. The back has the yoke, and then it has just these large pleats. And the front also has pockets with this cool detail. So normally a welt pocket would end like that, but they've done this extra little bit off of it just for, you know, decoration. It goes right to the hem, and we have a really generous welt pocket there. So really, I loved this one. I know I wore this many times. This was a style that I really liked in my personal life, was like kind of this oversized fit and flare kind of a style, with showing a lot of leg, and then I would wear one of my, you know, beautiful stiletto heels and let the leg and the heel look go, with kind of more of a boxier, like oversized fit up top. The next jacket is one I've had for so many years. So one of the first brands that I started working for, actually in Seattle, was a brand called Escada, which really, I don't even think that they're around anymore. I think they may just be in Germany at this point, but they were really big in the early 2000s, late 90s, I would say. I think this jacket is probably from 2002. Really old, but I love it, and it's still so relevant. So this is just a little jacket. This is very, very similar to my Great Jones jacket, like very similar. And Owen agrees. And I also have done this safety pin detail. I did it on one of my Worcester jackets, actually, because it always stuck in my mind as something really clever to do. So this one just has like a denim trim along the edge with, then I think this is probably like an organza or georgette that they created this trim. So really, really interesting trim details on here. They did a beautiful mitered corner there. Look at that, beautiful mitered corner. And it's fully lined. This one I have definitely worn a lot, and I will definitely wear it again in the fall with black jeans. Okay, next up is a jacket that I absolutely love. It actually has a matching pair of brown leather trousers that go with it, but I kind of forgot I had them. So I just grabbed this jacket, and there's a couple details that are really unique that I wanted to show you. First, check out the back. So this is just done by sliding these little leather, it's like just a leather strip, because leather doesn't fray, so they're just kind of sandwiched in between the seaming, which really gives it such a lovely detail in the back. Isn't that something so clever? I think we could definitely duplicate this in something we make. And then it has these really cool sleeve details, which the lace-up detail with the leather trim is really, really unique. It's just done by putting a panel right in the bottom of the sleeve. Really easy to do. And then there's a couple details along the front that I think are so gorgeous. The first is this panel. So this is the panel that gets hidden underneath when the zipper is zipped, but it has this zigzag stitching, which I think is such a cool detail. It's not like I don't think it really does anything, for like the fit or anything utilitarian, but it's such a beautiful detail. And then just to the other side of it, along the outer side of the zipper, there is just this placket that's been stitched, and that happens on both sides. So we have it also on the other placket side there. So I thought that was a really beautiful detail as well. And then it has the quilted lining, pretty standard. And yeah, so kind of a fun winter jacket. Definitely going to be wearing that this winter. Okay, and the piece de resistance, the finale of the show, is my ostrich jacket. Look at this spectacular jacket. I have never worn this. I'm not for not wanting to. I just never had the right occasion to wear it. I tried many times, but it just didn't have the right occasion. So this is ostrich. And I got this. I think this was a PR piece. I'm pretty sure it was a PR piece that I got. I don't think I got this in the store. I'm pretty sure it was a PR piece. I don't quite remember. But it has all these different. The shoulder and the upper part are the softer, shorter ostrich, and then the longer is around. So it's really has like a silk georgette lining, so it's light as a feather. And so yeah, this definitely, I think the occasion to wear this is going to be a really big fancy winter wedding. Here in Spain, wearing something like this in this type of color to a wedding is completely acceptable and would not stand out at all. I mean, it would stand out a bit, but not in a bad way. So I think that would be probably the only occasion that I would have to wear it. Otherwise with jeans and something like that, I just think when you have it on, it really is quite dressy. So that is my fun ostrich jacket. Oh, I realized I forgot a dress to show you. So this is one more in the dress section. It's kind of a caftan in a very classic Emilio Pucci print. I can't remember the name of this one either, but it has all of this beautiful beadwork that is embellishing the print. So we have it all around the neckline and then on the sleeves and also on the hem. So I did wear this several times with heels, and it does have pockets as well, which is so handy. So I did wear this several times. This was one of my favorites to wear with heels and just wear it as a dress. And sometimes I get in that mode of, oh, it's too special, I don't want to use it. But what good is it doing just sitting in the closet being special? Or in this case, in the storage unit. So I definitely, need to push myself just a little bit to use all of this stuff and to just wear it because we only live once, right? Okay, so really quick, I want to show you some of the bags. So the first one is my Fendi baguette. I actually have two. So these were really special gifts along the way that my friend Joe, who was working for Fendi, picked up for me. So this is the first one. I absolutely love this bag. I have used it a lot. It's not in perfect condition. It definitely has had its days in the sun, but I absolutely love it. And then just the neutral that I actually have a pair of pumps that are from the same collection. So it's kind of a set. This little cutie pie, this is an Emilio Pucci. It has the blue suede lining and all of the studs, which is also kind of classic Pucci little bag. And then I have a Mulberry. So I worked for Mulberry back in the day, and this is one of my favorite bags. I had quite a few mulberries. Just brought back this one because it was so practical. Again, it has the shoulder strap and also has a wrist strap and then a shoulder strap. And it's got a big pocket in the back. I don't know why they discontinued this collection of bags really quickly. I think this was only available for a season or two, and then they cut it from the collection. And I was so sad because it was such a great bag. And it was actually one of the first kind of designer bags I ever had. So I love this one. So thank you so much for joining me today on this little clothing adventure, fashion adventure. If you want, let me know which one is your favorite out of all the dresses and coats. Let me know. I'd love to hear what stood out for you. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye. I almost forgot to show you my Celine shirt. So I put it on the mannequin because it's kind of fun to see the place print of this. So it has the panels down the front and then the sleeves, kind of like a match of that print. So I think it's really clever. I'll show you the back. So then the back has the same green stripe all the way down the back. I just love a place print silk blouse, and I think this one, they've really done such a good job with it. All right, see you next time. Bye.